Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I have a powerhouse of women joining me, and let me tell you who they are. Today's guests are Lisa Jones, Debi Wimberley, Michaela S, and Amy Weishaus. And they are part of ECHO, which is Empowering Conversations of Hope and Opportunity Collaborative. Let me tell you a little bit more about ECHO, and then we'll talk a little bit about the ladies in a moment. So ECHO is an inspiring collaborative project that amplifies the voices of remarkable women. Their messages and stories create hope and opportunities that reverberate through conversations worldwide. Each shared story sends ripples of encouragement and invites ongoing discussions about boundless potential. It's about sparking meaningful conversations and creating lasting impact. These strong, empowered individuals inspire real change in bold, new ways. We invite you to come and join us in this conversation that we'll have today in an effort to embrace valuable perspectives that enhance positive growth for all. Today, our theme is going to be echoing your voice, story, and message into the world. Please join me in welcoming this awesome ECHO team. Hi, ladies.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Well, we always start with an easy question. I have four of you, five with me, if I could do math this morning. And I want each of you just to tell me a little bit about your journey that led you to ECHO. And we'll start with Amy, you're first on my side.
Well, it's been my joy in my career to have been a high school English and journalism teacher. And the journalism was the most wonderful assignment because in that capacity, I'm truly learning to hear the voice of my students and give them an opportunity to develop their voices. And today, in my retirement years, I'm refired and I'm still teaching and I'm still tutoring and I'm still getting the message across that each one of us has a very unique and powerful voice, a voice that needs to be heard. And I'm here with my colleagues to cultivate those voices because that's going to make all the difference in our daily lives and in our future and in our happiness.
Oh, so great. All right. How about you, Michaela?
I am an author, so I've always believed in the power of the pen and being able to tell and share your stories and your truth and your message through the word and getting it out there into the world. And so I found these lovely ladies and we had a lot of commonality in our messages. My own personal journey is navigating through doorways in life to go from surviving to thriving. In my case, lifelong disability, legal blindness is what the disability is, divorced at 26 in 2005. And then death of beloved husband in 2017, solo motherhood and widowhood.
Wow. How about you, Debi?
I am a health quality advocate, and that is due to me living with 3 decades of chronic illness. And once I found and met my endocannabinoid system, I learned that my voice needed to be shared so that everybody could understand they have that system and then it plays a role in your health. And so I met all these lovely ladies in a group of learning how to speak and talk and spread your message. And we found that we had a connection, and our voices and our topics matched really well. So we joined together and created Echo together.
That's so awesome. I love this. And you, Lisa?
Yes, I'm Lisa Jones, a speaker consultant and author that leverages the power of humor, gamification, and play as fuel to enhance collaboration, increase engagement, and maximize productivity. And I echo what Debbie just said. She said it perfectly. So yes, that's how we met. And we are continuing to echo together. It's a lovely collaboration, and I'm thankful I found it.
This is wonderful. You know, this is why I have the podcast, because I think that women have power individually, but together we can change the world. So let's just talk a little bit about some subjects that I really am strongly believing in. And the first is this first question that I have. And the way this can go is whoever feels inspired to answer can just, raise your digital hand, let me know so that we can make sure everybody's voice is heard. The first question is, what are the benefits of engaging in conversations of hope and opportunity? Who would like to take that on?
I'll take that.
All right.
I think that that everybody needs hope. I think that's one of the things that I've learned through my journey, is that when the doctors decided that they could no longer do anything to help me and just gave me 5 years to live, which was 8 years ago. So we can say I've met that and passed that and still thriving and going. There was no hope because they gave me none. And so building and establishing hope for yourself is the most important part. It comes from within you, and understanding that it is in your power to take charge of your life. There's no one that lives it but you, and you need to be the one that's in control.
Wonderful sentiment. Okay, Michaela, what did you want to add to that?
I feel like when we have empowering conversations that we're connecting, we're being curious, we're learning, we're discovering, and it's through these opportunities of said things that I just mentioned that you get to hear new ideas and new thought process, and maybe you have a mind shift. Sorry, I got tongue-tied. Mind shift, and it changes your perspective. It opens up your worldview, and then doing all of that, and through connections and being curious and learning and discovering, maybe we create new solutions and problem solve and create something that wasn't before, that allowed us to build a bridge to the next thing that helps us figure this out. And if we never had that conversation, we would never had that thought process that created that idea that led to connection or a solution to a problem.
Wow. So that kind of nicely goes into the next question is, how can we cultivate? Oh, Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, and I think in additional, talking about these positive possibilities, I think what happens is it stimulates your creative brain cells, because it's kind of like a mental playground where if you're thinking about it, ideas swing from one exciting concept to another. So I think that's another key thing that happens as well, another benefit.
And I think that's what you do in the gamification that's really going to be impactful, because our newest generations learn different than we did in a lot of ways.
So
and
true.
The gamification is one way that makes learning exciting again for the youth that are coming up. So excellent. So this next question is really around the fact that not everybody likes to have conversations that are difficult. So how can we cultivate a sense of optimism with a difficult conversation through having empowered conversations? Who would like to tackle that one? Michaela's fine. And then Amy.
I think this is something I try and do in my writing, and I think this is something that Lisa also does in hers through gamification, is when I feel like, I know I was raised in the South, and, we were taught, at least in my generation and the generations before me, you don't mix polite conversation with like hard topics of religion or politics or other things that are, no, we can't talk about that because that might ruffle feathers, and God forbid we don't do anything that's the perfect, perception of whatever. But I think in my writing, especially the topics that I write on, I try and add a little lightness, a little humor, a little cleverness that opens up to make it comfortable. because if it's stuffy and not comfortable, then people aren't comfortable and they don't want to touch it. And so if you add a little, I guess, fun or differentness that makes it easier to approach more comfortably, then it enables that person, oh, that it's safe to talk about this, or I'm more comfortable with this. So maybe I can hear what's being put out there and take it in. And I think Lisa also does that through her systems of gamification and making it fun. And she can explain that better than I can. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think it's through those approaches or techniques that makes those things more approachable and easier.
Good points.
Yes, definitely. I was going to say that playful conversations, what happens when you're having them is they often lead to laughter, and laughter is the best medicine. So if we're talking about hope and opportunity, that then becomes a joyful remedy for the soul. And that goes over to Amy, who is our joy expert. We're just bouncing a ball to
I
each
know.
person.
And
Well,
Amy?
Laughter is very important, but we can't have laughter until we engage and notice the people around us and have curiosity and develop empathy. I think hope is almost synonymous with some kind of confidence that we have to have. Confidence people don't even know yet that they own.
Yeah.
Because when we get together and we have a vision, I think hope is a vision. I'm thinking of my vision board. I have I'm on my 4th vision board, I think. And every time I'll find there was a little hope and it came to fruition. But hope is simple. It came in the confidence that I could achieve something on my board, on my agenda. And then comes finding people who may be scared also to open up. A hard conversation, you said, Vicki. So we meet, we take that first step, whether it's PTA mothers or mommy and me mothers, or people in a support group like health support groups that I belong to. And it could be, for many reasons. It could be your family unit. People in your family you really haven't talked to. You really don't know them. And when we start to exercise empathy and really start to notice and get to know the people around us through their feedback about us, which we never even knew, we gain confidence, we gain hope. And I think once you crack the ice, those conversations are craved. They're no longer hard, they're craved. People want to meet and be listened to. They want to be heard and seen. And that's what we do. That's what this foursome is all about. We every day, every meeting, we're constantly learning about each other, respecting each other more, empowering each other more. And not all of us always had that toolkit, but we help each other develop it.
Yes, Debbie.
I just want to say a little here about how there's no harder conversation than talking about illness and your health. And that is one thing that we don't talk about openly. And I think that we need to understand whomever's having the health condition or the struggle, there's much more to them than just that. And this is where conversations become very important. We get lost in just the health problems. And so it's really important that we empower you to be able to speak about this, speak about your health issues freely, because other people learn when you do that. That's one thing I learn every day when I talk about it, is that, oh, I didn't realize that was something that I could do, or that's something that's possible. So these conversations are important. It's just being able to talk about the uncomfortable and make it comfortable is what we strive to do.
Yeah, I know for me that just brings 2 memories. One, I had 2 miscarriages early in my marriage, and I openly talked about them because for me it was therapeutic. It really was helping me. But what I found is that there were people that had experienced that and never talked about it, and they were still carrying that weight. And so I think those conversations are helpful to be had. It's almost like a service. The other conversation that people are really uncomfortable with is whenever someone passes and what to say. And I had a wonderful interview about that, of what to say in those situations whenever there is a loss. And, sometimes there are just no words, but being there. And I love that Amy talked about empathy and having that emotional intelligence of knowing in your gut what needs to be done or said. So the
Deb-
next, go ahead.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead,
just
Amy.
Debbie mentioned the word lost. We get lost in our health issues sometimes and we're
Yeah.
paralyzed. But when that word lost, I'm thinking of all the lost conversations that we miss out on. There's still certain conversations I wish I'd had with my mother. And
Yeah.
I would have understood her better and I would have understood myself better in many ways. So we can't be lost, and we can find ourselves right under our noses in these conversations. And that is something we have to really impress upon the world. It's so simple and it's so profound.
Yeah. I have a lot of people that I interviewed talking about anxiety and sort of their mental state mindset. I wanted to talk a little bit on your website. You talk about positive strategies that can be used to help individuals move. And I changed this a little bit from helplessness to hopefulness.
Mhm.
I'd love for you to talk about that because I think it's really important that people know that there are others out there and conversations will help them.
Yeah, I think definitely these conversations that we're talking about, they really act as, if you will, an energy drink for your spirit. It's kind of like having a supercharged smoothie of possibilities or positivity too. And what happens is it fuels you up for the challenges ahead. So I think if you think about it as that analogy, that's really helpful to kind of hear about what we do in these conversations that we're having.
Anyone else?
I think that it's really important to be curious, because when we're curious is when we learn and expand. And I find that we tend to sometimes just get so into our routine, into what we do, that we lose that curiosity, which is something we had when we were born and that we used as a kid. And I would like to see us all turn back to thinking about how we were as kids and how curious we were and how it served us. And it allowed us to be open and to have open, empowering conversations. Sometimes you might say something that doesn't settle quite so right with someone, but it just shows the curiosity that the person has, and it's okay.
Yeah, I always tell the people I coach that I just want you to get back to your 4-year-old self, that magical time.
I say
Amy?
5-year-old. The one I use a lot is 5-year-old. But yes, lots of time with play. Yeah.
Yeah, and questions. Everything is a question, which is awesome. And stories. Also,
Yes.
great storytellers.
Stories galore.
Amy?
In our empowering conversations, the main goal is to get everyone to realize that helplessness is really a word. It's not something that truly exists, because if people wake up every morning with a sense of deep gratitude,
Yes.
even for my 5 senses, all the wonderful, amazing things I can do and appreciate and learn every day, we really are trying to say, let's laugh together, let's work this out. We're not helpless. I had a debilitating disease for 40 years of Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, and surgeries and so on. And I still had the vision that I could be in the classroom every day and do something positive. And I wasn't, I made the choice not to be helpless, and I could have gone in a totally different direction and totally into a hole with my mindset, and I could have become very depressed. So each one of us, from our own personal experiences, knows no matter how helpless we seem, we're not. And that's the key to the empowerment of conversations.
So true. Michaela, what do you want to add?
I think Amy touched on 2 things very well that I absolutely support and agree with, and I talk about a lot in my own writings and my own presentations. Is probably 2 of the biggest pieces of the puzzle, I would agree, in the system that I've come up with, or at least a way of couching it in, is that it does come down to, initially, you're not going to start any change without a choice, and that oftentimes in your choices, you find you actually have options when you feel like you don't. Whether it's necessarily a choice that is as obvious or not as obvious, but if you look for it, you'll find it. And there's oftentimes door number 3 instead of just 1 or 2. and that sometimes it's our mindset that allows us to stay true to those choices. So I think those are two of the biggest things that we can work on and talk about and realize that can make the big difference and allow us to live our best lives and thrive and not feel like we're saddled with something we didn't want or whatever verbiage that someone is feeling or saying.
Excellent. I thought Amy or Debbie, it looked like you wanted to say something. Yeah.
I'm going to take us back to being kids again. And this is one of the
Yay.
places where I think that we have a lot to learn. Because when you think about when you're born, you learn how to roll over, you learn how to hold your head, you learn how to walk, you learn how to talk. Those are amazing things. You have that ability within you. You can learn new things, you can expand, you can empower yourself. Look inside and utilize what you have within you, because you are unique and individual and you are important. So, you have that ability. When you think about all that you learn in your first 5 years, is truly amazing. And somewhere along the way, we kind of lose that and the thought that we can do that. And I think we need to go back and reevaluate that.
Yeah. And that really ties nicely into my next question. And, I was in the corporate world for over 40 years. And what I saw was the squashing of dreams that for a lot of times, and still today, there's a lot of people that are executives and managers and things that don't feel that they don't have dreams anymore. They don't allow themselves to dream. And so I wanted to just talk about how empowering it is to have dreams and goals and aspirations, and why those kind of conversations are so important.
In my work, I do a lot of, when I'm working with especially teams and organizations, what I do is I do an exercise with them, and it's a game really, but I take them back to pretending like they were 5, and how would they negotiate with somebody at 5? And if you think about a typical 5-year-old and how they negotiate, they usually get what they want. So if they can kind of take themselves, to Debbie's point, back to that age, that's where they realize a lot of these dreams that they have, and then they're ready to go after them again. So it's interesting to kind of see how that unfolds, and they're playing a game and how they let themselves be free and they have fun and they say, okay, yes, I'm going to do this. And this is the part of me I forgot. Thank you for helping me remember.
Yeah.
So it's really mind blowing to watch.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
A key there, Lisa brings out, is teamwork and collaboration. And this is clear proof of when you don't even know people are like-minded until you start to talk to them. So we really need to emphasize that my kind of platform or initiative is the person sitting next to you, and realizing that that person has dreams and has goals and has visions that that person may not even fully recognize yet. And that could be our divine responsibility to help them uncover. We're all a lot about self-discovery, self-empowerment, and self-esteem is so important to have a kernel of it, but we get it from the reflection of other people. And we owe a lot to the people who gave us confidence, who gave us a compliment that really stuck our whole lives, or, who told us our lives matter because of something that we said or did to them, for them, that we even forgot. So we believe our lives matter, we can make a difference. And we believe, to everyone, your life matters. And because of that, we're committed to work together to make this a much better world than the one I got up to this morning.
Michaela.
I think the conversation of dreams and imagining and being creative is really important to spark someone's curiosity and give them hope. I know from personal experience and talking to other people who have walked the journey of grief. Like I said, I lost my husband almost 7 years ago when I was 38, and my kids were 6 and 3 at the time. And Lord help me, they're 10 and 13. So one's 6 in high school. But yeah, exactly. Like, oh my God, what the heck? It's going to happen over the next few years. But anyway, the point is, I think a lot of times when we're stuck in either grief or a hardship or a challenging time or a season that you didn't expect or whatever, I think sometimes our dreams die and we don't want them to, and we didn't expect them to, but that's just part of what we feel and we express. And you might, excuse my French, but you might have to fight like hell to bring them back, because when that parts of you die, you don't have hope, you don't have opportunity, you feel pretty uninspired and not creative at all. And you're just doing what you have to do. But when you can start to lift your head a little bit through whatever process, either through some coping mechanism or some toolbox you created, or a mindset shift, or choices you found you had that you didn't feel like you had, then you feel that hope again, you're inspired again, and then maybe you can figure out how you're going to get to the next thing, and maybe remember those dreams or remember a new dream that you want to try and do. And that can be pretty inspiring.
And the thing too to remember is that we change, we evolve. And sometimes the dreams that I had, at 20, I didn't fulfill because something else took their place that gave me greater joy, that gave me greater fulfillment. And so it's not a disappointment. It's exciting to know that you continue to understand that your life can change and it can be for the better. Debbie, it seemed like you wanted to say something.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I think this is a really important part, because I think that if you're living in chronic illness or chronic health, you did not expect to be there. No one ever expects to be there. Nobody expects a tragedy in their health. And so your dreams and aspirations sometimes just come tumbling down. And the thing I learned to put into place is I wake up every day excited to have this day, build the dreams for today, live in the moment, and be thankful every night when you go to bed, and give yourself gratitude for what you accomplished today, because today is all you have. If tomorrow shows up, I'll do the same thing again tomorrow. But those dreams, I dream big, really big. And if I get there, I get there. If I don't, I'm just thankful for what I can accomplish today, and very thankful that I have this life that I have.
It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
So how or what actions can we take to create an environment where people feel supported, listened to, valued, and encouraged? And I think this is just so important. It kind of ties back to that empathy, Amy, that we were talking about.
Well, that's where I believe every waking hour is an opportunity for us to display, to cultivate, and to show empathy to other people. First, it starts with self-compassion. We have to have a little bit of room there to feel that, okay, we're a good person, we have something to offer, and the person next to me may be the one in my life to make a connection, whether it's romantically or whether it's in business or in having a wonderful partner to go to art museums and theater too. So that empathy is the key, I believe, to our survival as a human race. And if we don't have it, we are never going to help others develop the confidence they need to know that there's always a better way. And all my colleagues said it so well. And we're all empathetic in so many ways, but we haven't even tapped the surface yet. And that's what we need to have the excitement for every day, as Debbie says.
Yeah. For every person that has that positive, empathetic mindset, there are 2 or 3 others that are, those negative Nellies and things like that. That if we can't change them, obviously they have to change themselves. We can, though, eradicate them from our lives and move on, find some other people that are like-minded, and the conversation will be so much better. Go ahead, Debbie.
Well, I think one of the important things is this: be in the conversation. If you want to show them that you support them, value them, that you hear them. This is one of the things I think when we're having conversations a lot of times, is that we are thinking about 1,000 other things at the same time, or where I need to get in 5 hours, or whatever it may be. Allow yourself to be in that conversation in that moment. Get to know them. I don't know a stranger. I meet everyone, and I can walk away from a 5-minute conversation knowing them, a lot about them. And I'm often told, how do you do that? And it's like, be in the moment, be curious. Again, I'm going to say, be curious about that person, get to know them, spend some time with them. Don't be in it for yourself, be in it for them. Share with them what you can give.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lisa.
I think of it like, well, everything to me in my head is some type of game. So what I make sure that in conversations is kind of like you're, to the curious point, you're repeating back a few words, but you're doing it in a playful manner. It's kind of like, I'm going to use echo here, but like a friendly echo. You're creating that musical rhythm of understanding. So something like, oh, maybe they went to the zoo and they had the most fantastic weekend with penguins. Penguins, you say? How absolutely cool. So like it's like a fun exchange that you're having with someone, and that's how you
Yeah.
learn so much about them.
Yeah. And it goes back to the curiosity, really. It's allowing yourself to ask the questions and not just be that silent observer that so many people end up being.
Yes, and you're like the echo maestro per se.
So in what ways should or can our conversations focus on the possibility to inspire innovation and progress? In our world today, things are constantly rapidly changing, but it seems oftentimes people are stuck and don't have the creative juices, or are trying to be so professional that innovation and creativity is stifled. Let's talk about that a little bit and how conversations can change that.
I think we're demonstrating it right now in this forum. We can improve ourselves, we can innovate, one, through collaboration, two, through educating ourselves and exposing ourselves to the ideas of others. So for starters, if someone is too timid to start in a conversation, they could be a fly on the wall in this podcast, and they could see how genuine and how very organic and how very non-threatening it is, because we've all agreed to come together and look for common solutions, common goals. So with that very simple understanding, great ideas and collaborations occur. I just heard something the other night about the collaborations of musical geniuses, songwriters who wrote the most amazing, enduring music and lyrics like West Side Story and Sound of Music, inspiring stories about inclusiveness and humanity and empathy. And all of that starts with people getting together and talking.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about. It's time. It's time for everybody to go out and talk up a genuine, empathetic, and true, real conversation with someone today from the heart.
And I think if I could take it another step too, to Debi's points, if we have these conversations, then a lot of times people with chronic illnesses feel alone, feel isolated, and then that adds to depression, and that adds to more drugs and things to deal with that. Whereas if they could just talk with people like you, people who are encouraging, that people have walked the path, people who can listen, truly listen. I might not have a solution for you, but I'm willing to listen. And I think that's so important. And Debi, did you want to add to that a little bit?
Well, I think that it's critical, if we are dealing with health issues, that we be mindful what that person's going through. We don't share what is actually happening a lot of times because we hear, oh, just put on your big girl panties and deal with it. Well, it's not that simple. I wish it was. But I think that, understanding that, if you lose your ability to drive because of your health, that, okay, I can't meet you for lunch. So, how can we rectify that? And then you feel like you become a problem. I'm more of a burden. And so these are things that you have to work around. And so one of the things that I do, and I encourage people to do, and I know this sounds crazy, is I referred back to my nursery rhymes. And I carry them in my pocket all the time, like Alice in Wonderland, Humpty Dumpty. And I rely on those stories to actually bring me through. And that's where I become curious and understanding. And, all of those end with a good ending. And we can do that, but it takes being curious and being engaged with others. We cannot get through this life without other people. COVID taught us that, that we need people in our lives. And that's why these empowering conversations become that much more important, because we all got to experience for a little bit what it is to be isolated and feel that. And no one enjoyed it, I can guarantee you. And so we're in a space now where we have places like Zoom, where we can have conversations and meet with people. I physically have a health issue that prevents me from being out with people because I don't have an immune system. And this gives me that opportunity. So instead of thinking I don't have, what can I do? Finding yourself with the ability to make change, be always looking.
Nice. Lisa?
Yes, you mentioned in your question about innovation, and I want to touch on innovation a little bit. And it makes me think of, remember that game of hot potato? If we combine the hot potato with innovation, you can kind of pass the potato around, and the idea is passed around and each person adds their unique twist, because it's kind of like transforming ideation into a playful game of collaboration. And that's where we go back to our collaborative groove and echo. So
yeah, very
innovation,
true.
hot potato, if you will.
And really, if you go back to the 4 and 5-year-olds, they don't worry if it makes sense, if it's doable. Everybody's like, oh, okay, let's try that.
Let's play. They don't care. They just
It's
want to
like,
have fun.
let's just try it. What the heck? How about you, Michaela?
I was just gonna say I very much agree with and understand and wholeheartedly get what Debbie's saying in some of those instances, because even though mine comes from a different place of not a chronic health issue, it's a chronic disability I've had since birth. And disability, when you don't drive, for whether it's a health reason or a disability reason, it very much creates the same scenario, and you're always having to juggle, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, then okay, that means I have to, and no one knows how exhausting it is. Okay. Like, especially in my case, I fake the funk really good. And a lot of what I do behind the scenes to make my life work, no one really ever thinks about it. Thought, oh, she went through that to do that. They don't care. And it doesn't cross their mind because it doesn't have to, because they don't have to do it. So I get very much what she's saying. And it is true a lot of times, for whatever reason, it be health, be a disability, or other situation, you can have those scenarios. And if you don't try and work on your mindset or realize the choices you have to try and I like to say, if you can't move the mountain, you either go over it, under it, or around it. So I can't make my vision change, but I can figure out what I can do with it. And I've often said, okay, world, that's fine. Hold my beer and sit back and watch. Excuse the expression. I don't know how to edit it. I got that from my husband that passed away. That was military. But anyway, if you're not a beer person, pick a different beverage. But so find a way to work with what you want if you choose to want to be someone that does that, and figure out what you can do with it, and not be defined by your circumstances, but define it for yourself and figure it out like the rest of us do. And sometimes it's not easy to put our big girl panties on. And that's why we have hopefully toolboxes and our toolkits that deal with the other side that maybe not everyone sees, but you still have to do it. And it still comes down to choices and mindset. So there you go.
Exactly. All right, so it's time for me to do rapid fire. And so with 4 of you, it's going to be really rapid. I want each of you to think of one tangible result that can be achieved by engaging in an empowering conversation of hope and opportunity. Tangible result achieved by engaging in empowering conversations of hope and opportunity. Just one. Starting with Amy, no pressure.
The combined physical and mental energy to just soar in life.
Love it. How about you, Michaela?
I think knowledge is power. And when you have that power, you can create new opportunities for yourself.
Excellent. Debbie?
Transition. Be able to allow yourself to transition.
And Lisa?
I'm going to go with a mindful escape, because when you engage in these conversations of hope and opportunity, you take a mini vacation for your mind and you get to explore new mental landscapes filled with exciting possibilities.
And we need those mental vacations, people. We need them. It's time now for me to share my screen. If you guys have enjoyed the conversation I've had with these wonderful women, you want to connect with them. So I am going to share my screen with the contact information. And the best place for you to go, and this is for those that are just listening, this all will be on my YouTube channel, as well as the Find Your Leadership Confidence.com. But you can go to LinkedIn Echo Together, and that is Echo the number 2 and then GETHER, Echo Together. And Instagram is the same, Echo Together. I'm going to turn it over to whoever wants to take this. You can just take turns. Your call to action. You have information here. Just speak to that a little bit. What can they find if they reach out to you all to work together?
I will offer an opportunity to believe in your abilities, your talents, and your natural given constitution and gifts that you can take and find amazing ways to use them, and also to be an agent of positive change and confidence for other people in all that you tell people and help them, and you'll see how powerful you can be. And then that is just going to increase your belief in yourself and in whatever else we can achieve as a country, as a community, as a world.
What kind of conversations will they find on LinkedIn, Debbie?
Well, we are echoing our voices out to share with people so that they can understand that we offer a toolbox of solutions. So each one of us come to this conversation with different tools that we use and utilize on a daily basis. And so maybe one's tools don't work for you, but another's does. So a lot of times when we engage with people, they only have their toolbox. And that's the one thing that we're excited about, that we all have separate toolboxes that you can use at different stages in your life for different things.
Anyone else want to add to any of that?
I feel like when people find me, they discover my message, and it shows people how they can navigate their own doorways of whatever their obstacle is, to not just survive it, but thrive it through a methodology of finding grace in grief in life.
And Lisa, you talked about how you work with different groups and corporations. What kind of games can they do to make them be better, empowering conversationalists?
Oh, there's many games, but I like the fact that they have choices, to Debbie's point, the diversity within our group. And check us out if you want to play more, laugh more, and learn more.
Excellent. Well, ladies, I have given them plenty of time to get that screenshot. I'm going to stop this sharing and say thank you to each one of you. You brought such great insight, and your feeling of collaboration shines bright, and it is what the world needs. We do need to take the strength of each of our women power, but make it people power, humankind. We are trying to make the humankind a better place, and with each conversation we can do that. So thank you all. And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.